Good evening and welcome to Date with Danu, our quarantine special right here on Daily Mirror. Thank you so very much for joining us. Today it's a sunny afternoon, it's a Saturday. Hope things are looking good for you, and we are making the best out of what we have in our hands these days. Now, as we continue with quarantine, we would also like to thank those who are with us on the show. Our sponsors, Quantum, thank you for joining us on Date with Danu, followed by British Cosmetics, Vikramaditya Opticians, Jonathan Studios, Manning Checks, and Movenpick Hotel. Thank you so very much for joining us. Now, today we have a very special guest who's going to be joining us on Date with Danu. It's a very special show because he made big headlines ever since this global issue started. I want to speak more, not only about work, because that's a promise I gave him, and I'm happy to have Mewan Peiris with me today on Date with Danu. Hi, Mewan.
Hi. How's it going, Danu?
Doing
Sorry for
good.
the small delay.
Oh, that's fine. That's totally fine.
Too much light?
Uh,
All right. Okay.
all right, much better. All right, so
Yeah.
Mewan, thank you so very much for joining us. And so, for those who are watching, if you don't know what Mewan does, he's currently heading operations for Pick Me Food, and Pick Me Food got into big news in the recent days for the service that they have done. Even got a Twitter message from the Prime Minister. So these are like big news for Pick Me Food. Let's rewind 1 year ago, Mewan. I want to speak about Pick Me under a lot of heat during the bomb attack that happened in April last year,
Yeah.
if you do remember. And from there to this year, exactly in the month of April, things have really, really turned for the best. So tell me about that transition, and ever since you took over, how has it been?
Danu, I actually joined last year on the 1st of April, on April
Oh,
Fool's Day.
oh,
So 6 years
what a
in.
time.
So 6 years at John Keys Holdings, at Cinnamon Hotels, and also Elephant House Beverages, and I made the kind of the transition to join a startup.
Yeah.
So when I joined in April, obviously 20 days into it, we all know what happened. It was a terrible period for everybody. But then I think the sadder part of the whole thing was the acute racism that was prevalent in society at large. We could
Yeah.
see a lot of people trying to boycott, organizations and trying to make up stories. So I think Pick Me was just yet another kind of victim of sorts of this,
Yeah.
of fake news going around. But I think the core audience or our loyal user base actually knew what Pick Me was all about, and they were not really for this. But there was unfortunately a wave that people like to ride on, and surprisingly enough, especially the elder generation, some of whom may not be as savvy as deciphering fake news and real news. There's
Yeah.
so many of these, aunties and relatives of mine who's asked, is this kind of true? Have you all given, some donation, whatever?
Yeah.
But anyway, I wouldn't really like to get into it because it was completely fabricated fake news.
Of course.
It was me also because I've just, transitioned
Yeah.
big, and here I was, trying to kind of sort this out. So as you mentioned, it was a bad time. It was a bad time for everybody, just because the economic, activity has gone down. People were really not out and about. A lot of the mobility intercity as well as outstation had gone down. So with all of that, I think there were also a lot of people who stood by us, including yourself, Danu, and that's one of the main reasons that I just couldn't say no to you, because I know you've always been a believer of local businesses, not just Pick
Of
Me.
course.
And it's actually supported us and been with us right throughout, and then help us get ourselves back on our feet. So Pick Me Food was like the startup within a startup. So we were just getting all our processors, our application, etc., sorted out. Month on month, we were seeing some great traction. But yes, I think the last month in particular was something we didn't expect, and we knew we didn't have a choice other than to rise up to the challenge. So it's been a lot of hard work. It's been crazy hours. But I think, Danu, really, I think you agree, and so would my team, that been really worth it because we're now moving extremely fast. We've gotten ahead, and we're hoping to make sure that we get things back to normal as soon as possible.
And that's wonderful. The reason why I asked that question as the first question is to show the importance of togetherness. I think we as a nation are very quick to judge and come into conclusions and easily get caught up in a moment. And to know that 1 year, 12 months from there, to actually praise a brand that some may have actually spoken down about, which is remarkable. And I'm so happy that it's all set of youngsters who are doing it, and it's completely local. It's complete Sri Lanka DNA that's running in there, which makes it so much more nicer. So let's speak a little bit about you, Mewan. Everyone, I'm sorry, I'm also having a bit of a cold because I just woke up, not because I have corona. Everyone has spoken about you in the recent days, about work, about what is being delivered. All what you were able to tweet for some time were about the fact that today our delivery locations are going to be in Morotua, Panadura, and that's about it. But let's speak about you. One great news, and I'm so proud to say you are in the below 30 in Forbes under 30, which is absolutely stunning. Tell me about that experience.
Yeah, Danu, I mean, I've tried to clarify this a couple of times over. Actually, that was a process that started somewhere in 2019, where I had got nominated through someone, and also they reached out. And, it's really a reflection of what the people in that list have been up to in their careers so far.
Yeah.
Right? And I think it's great. Danu, there are 3 more Sri Lankans. I keep saying this every time. I know I'm probably the guy who's getting a lot of these mentions, but there are 3 more Sri Lankans in this year's list, which is absolutely amazing. But yeah, it's I think a reflection of what kind of everybody in that list been up to, and a lot of the people when they congratulate me, the one thing that I tell them is like, look, there are so many others too. It's just that they're not, so moment to celebrate, and I think as Sri Lankans we can be quite proud about it. Not to say that it's some sort of exclusive thing that other people can't, has to feel that they didn't make it or something like that. And I think I just want to encourage everyone under 30, simply because this whole thing about under 30, it's become, there's no magic in it, Danu, but I think years once you kind of leave school and you probably leave college, is really defined, because you make so many mistakes, you have a lot of energy, and generally people tend to kind of try out new things. So I think it's important that that is continued. Go for it, do what you like to do, fortunate enough to actually continue on. But a few others may try things and realize, oh, I'm probably good at something else, or may choose a role that is more suited to their aspirations. But the real thing is, just have a lot of fun and try out as much as you can.
All right. So there is a bit of a complaint over the fact that your line is not so clear, Mewan. Do you want to reconnect if you don't mind, or?
Yes, I would. Give me a second. I'm just going to do that right away.
Okay. I hate when technology works against us, but at times it does. All right, it's Date with Danu. We are getting into our second segment with Mewan, who is head of operations for Pick Me Food. A little bit about him, what he does, and how he got to where he is, and that's what we are talking about. Hopefully, Mewan is now moved to a stronger connection area in his house, which is going to be, there you go, Mewan. I'm sure this is going to work this time around. Let's connect.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so you got to keep your fingers crossed because you never know when this is going to.
I know. let's quickly do this question once again. Now, lots of people started up all these new startup companies, which is a great thing. And it's something that our economy needed, and it's something that our country needed. But you, as someone who moved from established organizations, which have been around for a long time, to a new organization, how was it, and what would you tell these people?
Yeah. So Danu, I was trying to say that I personally believe that there's kind of like two different types of people, right? And it doesn't mean that you're forever that one or two different people. It just means that at least at that point of time in life. On one side, you have the actual starters, the entrepreneurs who will kind of the risks, take all the risks, put everything that they've got, and actually be okay with multiple failures, pick them up and just keep going, right? And then you have really creative, etc., can manage work and bring a lot of creativity and ideas to the table.
Yeah.
But may not be as carved out to actually start something on their own, right? Because they have certain inherent right at this point of time in life, I would say I'm not. I have given a shot at starting a few things, but really, nothing that I could really call my own, right? But for example, the founder of Pick Me, you ask him whether he's an entrepreneur. I think he's a complete entrepreneur. Started Pick Me, pretty much out of nothing, and has really put in all into making the company where it is. So for me, especially with the corporate background that I was coming from, I think I probably could bring something to the table, but I had a certain structured way of doing it. So I'd like to kind of tell a lot of these people, I mean, the buzzword that you have to start something on your own, Danu, because that's everybody can't start something on. So you need to kind of at least analyze, at least at this point of time in your life, are you someone who ready to take that complete leap to being a full-time entrepreneur? Taking that risk, being with hitting rock bottom and putting it your all. Or maybe at this point of time in life, you're probably looking for something a little bit more stable, a little bit more secure.
Okay, reconnect.
Where I stop? Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yes, you stopped at the point where I don't think it's mandatory to somehow start a startup.
So for me, I mean, yes, John Keys was a very structured organization.
Okay. Wait. They're losing connection, so I'm going to do it. Let's think of it as these things do happen. Sorry, Mewan, that this line needs to be just so unpredictable today. Thank you for those who are rejoining. Thanks for having the patience to go through with this. Unfortunately, we are just having some issues.
For everybody who's listening in.
Okay. You can hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes, I
great.
can. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes. All right, let's just keep praying on the side, okay? Let's keep praying on the
Yeah.
side. All right. So, would you like to just wrap that question up if you don't
Yeah,
mind?
just wrapping that. So as I said, was I moved from a corporate environment to a startup because I was craving for a bit of change in pace. I wanted to kind of do things a little faster and be in a more challenging environment. So again, I mean, word of advice to everybody. I mean, don't feel the pressure to always be an entrepreneur. Figure out whether you're ready for that right now. If it is, go for it. But if not, it's fine. Then the next question is find out something that you like to do still, even without being an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Uh,
You could find something to do.
okay. I'm telling you.
Danu,
Okay.
how is it that I'm the worst guest on your show?
I really don't know. I think it's just the internet. Maybe where you are seated could be a problem. Is there a better place where the connection is
Yeah,
stronger?
probably. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see whether I can just move outside. But yeah,
Yeah,
all right, go for it.
that's better. Ah, okay, there you go. I think
Yeah,
this might just work for us. Great. All right. So now I also wanted to speak to you a little bit about apart from work. You're also a young dad, correct?
correct. I mean, we're just 3 weeks into the job on that one, Danu.
And how is it going? How are you managing duties there?
I mean, I think in one sense, working from home really helps because I don't have to physically go out of the house every day for work and be back.
Yeah.
So I'm really kind of feeling that that's a blessing in disguise. But
Mm.
also, it's very challenging because I think for everybody, working from home means that you don't necessarily have like timelines and clock off
No.
times, so you're always on Zoom calls and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's a mix of both, but yeah, so far we're both really enjoying it.
Okay, that's excellent because you're a new dad. Lots of things happen for you. This April has been a very cluttered month for you.
I know, really overwhelming, Danu. You have no idea, and I think that's why the first time you asked me whether I can be on your show, I was just like, please let me get my breath back, and then I will try.
I just had a baby. I really don't know what's happening. There's corona around me, and I'm just trying to live. Just let me be. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot to deal with. Now, for those who are wondering, how does this operation work? We found a sense of pride when we saw all these guys in motorbikes standing outside and be like, yes, we are coming to like give you food. Because the first few days of COVID-19, the lockdown seemed like we were taken back to the era of the war because we were like, is there going to be food? How are we going to get food? What is going to happen? There was a sense of fear in us, especially as Sri Lankans. We have like seen the worst of everything, and we tend to always see the worst as well. How was the feedback for you? How was it for you to like motivate the drivers and tell them, listen, we are actually doing a service?
Yeah. So those first few days, even we hadn't really figured out what we were going to do. We knew we had to do
Yeah.
something because the curfew was on. We hadn't really got clearances to operate. So the first breakthrough came, I think the story is out there that we first broke through with litro gas because
Okay.
what we realized was that, even if you want to cook from home, if you run out of your gas, you're going to be in a real soup, right?
Yeah.
So that kicked off, and then we were closely followed by the partnership with Satosa. right? Because
Right.
that was also another state institution that was really well geared to actually some basic essentials and dry rations, etc., for households. So with these two, kind of very quickly, we were able to work with the government and make sure that the necessary approvals were there for us to operate. But really, Danu, those first few days, I mean, it still is really overwhelming because there was a ton of new vendors who were calling us and saying, "Hey, I've got a vegetable shop. Can I be online?" Then there were
Yeah.
customers asking, "Okay, what's happening?" But I think we were also really inundated with a lot of great compliments and good positive vibes. And
Yeah.
really, I mean, we had, if I'm not mistaken, we had like about 50 riders on the very first day. They just turned up, and we personally, I think, called a few of the guys that we knew kind of personally, who were really great performers.
Yeah.
And they just said, sir, api meka karanna ona, because it was more like, if we do it, no one else
True.
will, and no
Yeah.
one else can.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And it
actually,
was
Danu,
like
to be
us.
very honest, the motive them, right? And we were also really powered up. And every single day afterwards, we just saw more and more drivers coming online. There was a health risk on one side. There was difficulties on the road with the approvals and permissions on the other. But I think those guys are truly superheroes. I think that's why we've changed the whole little graphic on the app to include a cape for them.
Yeah. I saw. I saw. Uh, as local brands, Sri Lanka in the last few years, we have seen a growth in great local brands coming up. And do you feel that? Do you feel that there is more space for more local brands to dominate the economy of Sri Lanka?
Definitely, Danu, because what we will see in the very near future, we're going to have a huge, difficulty and challenges in importing stuff, right? We've already seen
Yeah.
that with our borders being closed, and even for the countries that are exporters out there, for them to get up and running, right?
Yeah.
And what is happening is increasingly people are looking for alternatives. So that becomes okay. Next part is okay. How can we get local alternatives? So I think
Yeah.
there was a few stories shared even with the supply chain. For example, I'll just give you an example of our food bags, right? So our
Oh,
food bags were anyway sourced locally, but we also had a couple of international suppliers who we had as backup. And
right.
with this, because there's so much of demand, uh, you know, the local the factories that are producing these food bags, they used to import some of the material. They used to import certain items. Now they have turned out to look local for those alternatives,
Wow.
right?
Okay.
So from very small things like that to packaging material, right? Because that's the challenge that most restaurants
Mm,
have. Um,
true.
uh,
Wait. Just learning sign language with Mewan. It works. So it's a good thing. Let me just connect with him once again to just finish this conversation. It's always a bit of a crucial thing for us to get the correct message out. So we need to be patient, unfortunately. Seems like it's a challenging May as well for you. Can you hear me?
Danu,
Yes, I can hear you. Good.
yeah. Can you see
All
me
right. I,
again?
yes, I can see you. I can see you. Audio is the issue, but
Yeah.
visually you are there.
Yeah. I can take.
Be safer. All right. Let's just reconnect. Tough times call for new innovative ways of speaking to our people. Would have been so much more easier to do a show, but sometimes we have to do these new ways and means. All right. So, Mevan, for the final time, You are forgiven because you are a new dad. You have too many things. You have done so much of work for us and you have helped us in many ways. So as Sri Lanka, we forgive you for your bad internet connection.
Thanks, Danu. So let's try this last bit of wrapping up. Maybe
Yes.
take another question and go for it.
All right. So I just wanted to finish the story about the local vendors.
Yeah, so I think there is, Danu, because especially in the restaurant business, for packaging and for us, for food bags, for example, I mean, a lot of people used to import their packaging material from places like China, right? But now, definitely, restaurants have to find alternatives because one, we're going to have a time lag which they cannot afford, and also as they discover these and when more will kind of get into the market, I think they'll realize that actually the local products also will have quality, and that will also. So definitely, I believe there'll be scope for local players.
All right, brilliant. Mewan, thank you so very much for joining us. I know it has been quite difficult to keep this live going smooth, but congratulations on all what you have done and all what you have achieved, putting Sri Lanka on the map in your own way. It has been remarkable, and so happy to know that you are in our era and to call you a friend and also someone who has done some great work. I hope you heard that. I said good things about you. All right. Thank you. You can always follow Mewan on all the social media handles. He's available on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, updating you on how important it is to believe in local industries and to have them powered and energized so that we can get through these difficult times in an easier way. So thank you to him for joining us on the show. As always, we're going to see you with another guest on Date with Danu, hopefully with strong connection that will not cut off this conversation so too many times. Until we see you then, you have yourself a great evening. And thank you so very much for joining us on Date with Danu here on Daily Mirror. Follow Daily Mirror on our website, Facebook, and Instagram. And also don't forget to subscribe to get your e-papers so that you can be informed with the latest. So thank you to everyone who's here. We will see you soon. Till then, you keep smiling. It's a wrap.